What's up, people? Um, so I gotta explain this. I just have to. It's not like a choice. Um, so I've become aware of a lot of things. Okay, if you don't know by now, I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess you could say. I've been studying conspiracy theories for like about a decade now, and it's really not that hard to get a grip of what's going on in the world. Begin with the monetary system. The Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank. Go from there. Understand that the media is owned and controlled by six major companies right now, and probably get smaller eventually. And there are tactics of propaganda that exist that have been like perfected or at least improved, over the last like century. Okay, you can go read a book called Propaganda from a dude named Edward Bernays, and it was written in like 1928, I think. And he lays out some pretty basic concepts for how to basically manipulate society. And with all that in mind, you have to understand. Oh, okay, there's one more aspect. There is what is called a New World Order agenda. There is conspiracy happening in the world. And I know the media will tell you that, conspiracy theorists are a bunch of just crazy Looney Tunes, tinfoil hat wearing people. That's how they get you off their track, okay? And I'm saying this for the people who might naively, believe, kind of this pop culture blissful existence. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was kind of like raised by MTV almost. I used to literally want to be on The Real World. Like that was like an ambition of mine, to be on The Real World. I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be one of those people. Like I was thinking, I used to seriously like think I was gonna do something like that. And then when I was like 19, I started learning about the first thing I learned was that the Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank, and I was like, whoa. So the people that printed money, it's a privately owned bank, and that tripped me out. And somebody led me to a documentary called The Money Masters, which kind of discusses the whole monetary system and stuff, the history of it and everything. And that's very insightful. And, that's a good way to get your feet in the door because it's like verified stuff. You can look that up right now. The Federal Reserve is they call it a quasi-public corporation. It's an institution that has member banks as stockholders, and it's a privately owned bank, and it's an independent institution from the government. They have a board of directors that is like partially appointed by like the president or something, but generally speaking, they control monetary policy in the United States, which affects like everything in the economy. And you can hear the president like criticizing the board because they're an independent board. They do what they want. If the government or the president was in control, they would just say, "Here, do this." But no, they have to have like congressional hearings, and they criticize them. You see what I'm saying? It's an independent organization, and that's important for people to know because here's the thing. When I first started learning about all these conspiracy theories and stuff, one of the major things that was kind of an aspect of it was for people to like spread the word. And one of the catchphrases, I think a dude named Bill Cooper made it up. He said, "Wake up, sheeple," and he had a little radio show and he would tell people what's happening. But that's basically that was a major motivation within the conspiracy theorist circle, is to wake up the sheeple, who were naive to what was going on. And that began, in my opinion, and I watched this happen. Like I said, I've been at this for like 10 years. That began what is called today like the social justice warrior movement. And what really happened was it was these conspiracy theorists kind of going at it, trying to wake people up and tell them what's really going on. And that momentum, like there was Occupy Wall Street back in like 2009, 2010. Right before Occupy Wall Street, there was like everybody was talking about the Illuminati, and like there was momentum going to kind of wake up the sheeple. But that momentum was kind of shifted into other things. And with mass media, you can do that. You can deter people's attention. For instance, with the Illuminati, I remember that was a trending thing, and then right after they started like coming out with movies to like kind of turn the concept of what the Illuminati was. And like I forget, there was like a movie with like Tom Hanks, and like they said, oh, like the Illuminati is an ancient secret society, and they try to like turn it to some like fantasy thing. What people meant by the Illuminati was like this small group of people that are basically conspiring against the world. And so you see how they kind of take the momentum and shift it. And they do this all the time, and they can do that with mass media, with Hollywood and everything. And so there's a whole culture that is always led astray by the mass media. And it's understandable, because I was a MTV child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when, right before Obama became president, there was like a campaign on MTV with Paris Hilton and P. Diddy, and they called it Vote or Die. And it turns out Paris Hilton never even voted, or something like that. And, I was a naive, like, 19-year-old. And, I just got into that position where I could vote. You have to be 18. But I knew absolutely nothing about politics. So who was I going to vote for? The people they kept, promoting to me. And the options were John McCain and Barack Obama. And I'm like, well, John McCain's looking lame. Who's this old guy? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, Barack Obama. So I was going to go vote for Barack Obama. I was too lazy. I was partying with my friends. I never made it to the poll, but that's who I was going to vote for, because they made such a thing about it. They're like, vote or die, vote or die. And I just never got to it. But I was just going to vote out of ignorance. I didn't know anything about no politics, anything about nothing like that. And the most I knew was like kind of what they were pushing in my eyes, you know what I'm saying? And once I started learning about conspiracy theories and stuff, I seen what Barack Obama was doing. The first thing he did, he gave $1 trillion to bankers who were basically responsible for the financial crash in 2009. So that's almost like, I don't know what you want to call it. That's crazy to me. But and we're already in debt, 22 trillion right now, and you're just gonna hand over $1 trillion to these people. That's insane amounts of money. And so yeah, that was, to me, if I didn't know anything about politics, I wouldn't have even known anything. I wouldn't have thought about that. And that's the thing, you see all these like social movements that are going on. There's a lot of rights, this and that, and it's like all these stupid petty arguments, but like the real, big enchilada, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's going overlooked. The real big thing is like the banking system, the monetary system, the debt of the United States, what the United States is spending so much money on year after year, military expenditures, wars overseas. That is all super important. And if we just look at the government in a pretty straightforward way, it's really just a matter of, what's the budget? How much are they taxing you, for one? You're working and they're taxing you, taking your money, and then they have a budget based on that. And sometimes they go over, they borrow money and keep accumulating debt. So what's the budget? What is it being spent on? And it's like, is it benefiting us? That's really the question. And, I think there's so much that money's being spent on that's just stupid. Random wars around the world, handing money over to random countries, you know what I'm saying? While there's people out here starving on the streets. People without health care, you know what I'm saying? And that's a real simple approach to the whole situation. And so I guess the point here is, I am aware that there is like this, media push to kind of distract people from real issues and kind of get them all occupied with stupid, frivolous stuff. And this is targeted towards kids. It's targeted towards the young kids coming up, you know what I mean? And I understand it. So I went to this college, and everybody says that like you can go like verify this with any type of political scientist or whatever. But a lot of these colleges, universities, they have a very what they call a leftist kind of leaning. You know what I mean? And I've had arguments with professors and stuff, and like I know my stuff, and it is a very, they're ignorant in some cases. And like I said, you can verify everything I'm saying right now. Go look up the Federal Reserve. It's a privately owned bank. Go look up, you can see the wars going on around the world. There's $22 trillion in debt right now. You can see what the money's being spent on year after year. You can see that people don't have health care. A lot of people are like living in poverty. They're wage slaves, you know. There's a lot of shit going on that the media doesn't talk about too much. The media likes to talk about silly little frivolous stuff. And it directs young, ignorant people towards, you know, things that really are trivial in comparison to the big things, you know what I mean? And that's a tactic they use. They get a hold of the youth, and then you know, by the time they're adults, they're all already kind of like conditioned with certain beliefs and stuff. And like I said, I was an MTV child, and you know, there's a lot of stuff that's part of it. And you have to understand what this whole New World Order agenda is. There's a lot to it, but if you look right now, you can look at what's happening in China, and they have like what they call like this social points program, and it's like they got all like this crazy surveillance. Like, if you don't say the right thing, then they'll like take off points from your thing, which will like restrict your behavior in society. You can't even like travel and stuff. They'll call it incorrect political language, like as if there is one correct way to, you know, think. And that in itself is like a totalitarian system. And this New World Order agenda is basically like that on a worldwide scale, is what people are working towards. And that's what you'll understand if you study conspiracy theory, if you listen to these people. It's and then you can see everything that's happening in the world kind of leading in that direction. You understand how, you know, various wars, various social movements, there's various things that are happening in the government and in the world, you know, that you can see exactly how they fit in with that New World Order agenda. And so I guess instead of being what they call a social justice warrior, I know it seems like, you know, intuitively right to stand up for basic rights and stuff. What you should really be focusing your energy on and your attention are these big, real problems, like the monetary system, like the debt that the United States is in, like what the government spends money on. And I mean, like I said, I know exactly what the situation is. I know I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm fucking 10 years in this shit, you know what I mean? And I know exactly how they manipulate people. I read the book Propaganda, which was written in 1928. You know, I'm sure they've improved upon their tactics since then. You know, we have social media now, and, you know, there's just constant bombardment with various propaganda. You know, Facebook is basically like a propaganda sharing platform. People click a link and share, and it's like you're sharing whatever, you know, piece of propaganda it is, and whether it's positive propaganda or negative, you know what I mean? But generally speaking, you know, there's a clear distinction that I think a lot of kids need to see, and there's what is called the New World Order agenda, and there's conspiracy theorists that know what it is, and they are kind of, you know, they're trying to unravel that plot, okay? But then on the other hand, is, you know, the mainstream media propagated, you know, information, which is always put out there, and it goes straight into their trap, basically. You know, it goes right into their plans, but at the same time, it's really trivial in comparison to like really big things. There's wars going on, you know what I mean? There is money being spent on stupid stuff while people are starving, you know what I mean? And you can just see that. For instance, one major thing that I always see is people talking about anti-Semitism, okay? And there's a lot of people that are against Israel because Israel is constantly, you know, violating human rights in Palestine, okay? And so the people who are against Israel don't like Israel because of their human rights violations in Palestine, but the propaganda will tell you that they're just anti-Semitic. But really, the real situation is human rights violations of the Palestinians. And so you can see that is a clear distinction. You know, the propaganda will tell you that the people who don't like Israel are just anti-Semitic. And they're even passing laws to try to, you know, make it illegal to criticize Israel. And you can see that. That's propaganda. That is mainstream media, you know, trying to turn some type of positive movement into something stupid, okay? The positive movement is standing up for the human rights of the Palestinians, okay? And that they want to call those people who don't like Israel anti-Semitic. And You can see they do that all the time. They'll always try to twist the picture, you know what I mean? And there's people out there who know what's going on, and they'll try to stand up for what's really right, and the media will try to demonize them. And then people who are none the wiser, you know, they'll believe what the media says. And that's what I'm trying to get through to whoever, you know, young kids, because the young kids are very easily impressionable. So really, I mean, this video is geared towards like you know, young kids coming into this world with so much propaganda left and right and up and down and twisting up everything. You know, you have to have some type of sanity through it all to see what's really going on. And there's tactics they use, and really, I mean, you can just see it. Like I said, they'll take the momentum and they'll twist it into something else. You know, they'll take a positive movement and try to, you know, pretend it's something negative. And there's a lot of things they do. They take things out of context and, you know, try to isolate incidents and then claim, you know, create their own context and paint people a certain way. And that's the tactics they use. And you can see that. I mean, so just keep that one in mind, and it'll be a continuous, you know, clear, you know, piece of evidence towards the manipulation that the media tries to put upon people. Like I said, there are human rights violations going on in Palestine. The Israelis are constantly violating Palestinian rights. And anybody that criticizes Israel is going to be painted by the media as anti-Semitic. And you can see that constantly because, from what I understand, the media is owned by these, or a lot of the media is owned by these Israeli, I guess you could say, Jewish people. So that would be a consistent thing. You can see it. And until that changes, you know, it's the same thing. It's false media propagation. And it's important for the kids, man. It's important for the kids because the kids are the ones that are manipulated so easily. They don't know the difference between what's what and what's what. And so I'm trying to give you the footsteps to follow to get into like reality, the important stuff with like the Federal Reserve, the monetary system, random wars, the budget, what is being spent on, you know, is the things that the government's doing, are they benefiting the populace? Are they, you know, or is the populace being used? Are people, you know, being drafted into the military and being used for foreign wars that, you know, the United States really has nothing to do with? Just look at the propaganda. Is the propaganda swaying the public opinion to do something stupid, or is it what else would it be doing? You know, it's already controlled by these people. I'm telling you, the mainstream media is controlled, and they're going to constantly use that influence to sway the youth, especially who don't know left from right, you know what I mean, into, you know, going along with certain movements, you know what I mean? And these movements fall right into their trap, right into the New World Order agenda. So I think that's an important thing to clarify for the kids, especially because, you know, they're just coming up and they're just doing what they believe is right. Like I said, I was going to vote for Barack Obama just because I was like, okay, he looks good. And I was just naive. Like, there's no telling what John McCain would have done, but either way, I was naive. I didn't know anything about politics. I was not in a position to make a decision. You know what I mean? And that's what they do. They take advantage of the youth who really don't know left from right, and it's like a fresh, you know, palette. They could paint whatever picture they want upon, you know, young people's minds. And so this video really is geared towards young people. Like, I'm hoping like 15-year-olds, you know, and up kind of listen to it. And, you know, they target the youth. These media propagandists, they target the youth. So, you know, if we want to turn the tide against that, you know, we conspiracy theorists as well have to target the youth. We have to let these kids know what's really going on. And you know, I hear a lot of criticism. You know, you got people out there just calling people libtards and stupid derogatory names, and that's not how you do it. That's not the way to do it. It's you know, I'm trying to go about explaining every little detail so, you know, I can kind of gear kids on the right direction. You don't just say, oh, you're dumb, without teaching them the right, you know, or at least a better way. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to gear, you know, the youth in a positive direction. And it's something that's gonna have to be, consistent through generations. There's actually been intentional movements to kind of separate the youth from their parents, so that the state can kind of raise the children, and exactly like you see, and you can see it in movies like rebellious adolescents and stuff, and that's an attempt to, remove each generation from their adult parents, and so that the state can kind of mold them into what they want to, and that's been happening for like the last century, successive generations. And so either way, we have the internet now, and there's plenty of information that can be shared and spread, and if we want to create positive change, yeah, you got to target the youth. You can't let these youth just be brainwashed by media and led in whatever direction the media pulls them. We have to target the youth with, what's really going on, not just some negative feedback calling them. I've heard people do that. I've heard people call there's young kids like libtards, and it turns to a stupid argument. No, you have to show guidance, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I've been doing this for about 10 years, so I know this stuff. And you can go watch certain documentaries like The Money Masters. It's like a 4-hour long documentary, and it goes through certain details. You can verify facts. There's a lot of stuff out there that these conspiracy theorists put out with like verifiable information, and you can verify that stuff. And it's not what the media tells you. It's not just tinfoil hat wearing clueless people. No, the media has an agenda of propagating certain movements and certain things like that, and conspiracy theorists kind of know that is going towards what's called the New World Order agenda, and it's dangerous. So the conspiracy theorists are naturally trying to wake the sheeple up and combat that, and sometimes they go about it in a bad way by just calling people who are unaware of that, sheeple or morons or whatever they might call them, you know what I'm saying? So it's really important that people, give the youth some traction, give them some guidance and direction. Here's how to get started. Like I said, Federal Reserve, privately owned bank. Go watch the movie The Money Masters, and look at the government in a very simple way. What's the budget? What are they spending on? Is it helping us, or are we being used in a stupid way? And right now you can see us, being used in a really stupid way. And that's just in America. You can see the same thing in a lot of other countries too. So that being said, that is just what I feel is something that needs to happen. So let's hop to it, conspiracy theorists, and this video specifically is really geared towards the youth. Everybody has the internet, everybody has a little cell phone. You can, anybody click this video. So really, I'm hoping it reaches the young 15-year-olds, whatever. And but if any conspiracy theorists are hearing this, you got to think about what's going on the bigger scale. Like I said, the youth is being targeted. So, we have to kind of give direction to the youth so they know what's really going on, so they're not just used in one way or another. With that being said, I thank you guys for listening. I'll get back to a couple of things I was doing, and so if we want to create positive change, we gotta start with the youth, man. You can't neglect that. You can't neglect that at all. That's the youth. It's like a clean palette, and we gotta shape the youth into good people. We can't just let these youngins just be raised by the state or whatnot. And it's very important. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I thank you guys for listening. Much love.